So in order to in order to really do the real launch, we decided to, that the way to do, we decided that the good way to do would be that to invite Vitalik to do the symbolic first transaction of this zkEVM. So I would like to invite Vitalik just to do this transaction. Hello, Vitalik, and thank you very much for accepting this transaction. Let's see if everything works. This is a little bit risky, but.
But yeah, no. Hi, Jordi. It's good to be here. Good to see all of you guys. Okay, I shall, I guess, click present, and then I click on here, and then, okay, great. So let's see. Okay, you see my MetaMask, 0.01 ETH. I'm connected to the Polygon zkEVM, right?
Okay, so then you did the bridge before, so that's good.
I did indeed. I did the bridge before. Okay, so then I have to send. What address should I send to? Okay, let's go on Polygon zkEVM. We'll check this most recent transaction, and how about we'll take whoever sent it. So I'm going to send to them. And then send to them 0.005 ETH. Set the gas limit to 6.042, have some more mean value, and then click next. Yes.
Maybe you want to put a message there or something.
Okay. How do I put a message again? I was just I was looking this up, and like GPT told me to like click on advanced options, but I don't see advanced options.
Oh, it's not a bind. So sure, okay, but just do the normal transaction. That should be fine. But okay, you can share with us the message.
Sure. Okay, is there? Okay, so do you know how to like add call data? By the way,
yeah. I mean, it's advanced options and show the data somewhere.
Right. But I just like I don't see the advanced options field. That's the thing, right?
I cannot see very good the screen, but that's, let me see.
Here. There we go. Okay.
Just to show the data, maybe the previous one.
Is the configuration of MetaMask to enable this extra data?
In the configuration. Just go to the configuration of MetaMask.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, hold on. Connect Digital Zero again. Click on Polygon. Hold on. Oh, where do I go for?
Just maybe you need to cancel this and just go to the configuration. And,
there we go. Okay, perfect. So I go to add network, and then I just go back to networks, and then Polygon zkEVM, and then there.
That's okay. That's okay. That's which is in general maybe not advanced in the second advanced.
Oh, I see. Okay, advanced cascade rules.
Yeah, show data. You just up. Show data. This one. Just there we go. Yeah, just close this. And just do the transaction again.
Okay, let's see how this works. Okay, we're gonna click send. Send to this address. Send to. Oh, there we go. 0.005. Okay, set this to a meme number, and then over here. Okay, great. I have to create some hex data. Okay, hold on. Let me just make the hex data first. Let's see. I need something corny. I'll deliver corny. Okay, is that corny enough for you?
That's perfect.
Okay, amazing. Okay, going back here. Send to the 0x7, whoever this is, 0.005. Gas limit has to go to a meme number, and then hex data 0x, whatever this is. No, I want the meme number. Okay, next. And then confirm. Okay, send pending. Amazing.
It should now go forward.
Okay, and it says success.
That's good.
Okay.
So we have. So maybe you can see the data there. We already showed that. Just show in you can show just select show.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Vitalik. So we have the first transaction. We made it.
Okay.
I was not sleeping for that, so that's good. So,
amazing. So
thank
happy.
you very much. So I think, Grace, we can continue. We have the first transaction there.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, now we have officially launched zkEVM mainnet beta, and we love Kearney. We love it. So now there's a big welcome to our community, to our developers, to our builder. And we just want to say that we're going to share everything that you need to know about mainnet beta at 6:30 the Central European time or at 4:30 GMT time. So with that and with this excitement, we will continue with a fireside chat. And we will invite now Vitalik and Jordi to stay in, and no better person to take this fire chat on than Mihailo. Take it on.
Thanks a lot, Grace. I'm not sure that I'm the right person to do this now, given how stressed I was. Super exciting and super fun. And luckily it turned out very well. Hi, everyone. Again, I'm very, very excited and honored to have a very quick chat with two people that I tremendously respect. And I think without further ado, let's go into that, right? So I think maybe we can just start emotionally, if that's fine, then we can switch back to rational conversation. So just tell me, how do you guys feel about what just happened? Just do you have any current emotion that you can maybe share? And what do you think about this event? Is it really an important milestone as we believe? And is it really a gift to the community? Just anything that you can just share about how you feel about
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like very happy and excited for what's to come. It's the whole zkEVM thing is just something that I think we've all dreamed about and talked about for such a long time, and like actually seeing it happen, on mainnet and seeing all of the pieces come together and just work is like just so amazing.
For me, it's it's a strange feeling because and I've been like dreaming for this moment for 2 years. Okay, but at this point, once you get there, and even the days before, I'm more excited for tomorrow and for the day after tomorrow, and what will happen tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. That we will plan what we are going to do next and how we are built, and we have a lot of things in the backlog because in the last 3 months, I mean, we have been working very much in security and not doing like anything new, just checking and checking the code many times and all that. And we have a lot of things to improve and to do it better and so on. So for me, the most exciting of this event is that, okay, we will finish this phase and we will continue building and improving. This is just a milestone. I think it's an important milestone because it's having something that was impossible. Okay, now it's here. It's a zkEVM. It's possible. We can build that, but it's a long path for scaling. We are just starting to scale. This is just the beginning, and now we need to really scale. I mean, really mean making many transactions, going fast, and this is and this is, I think, is quite an important step because this will really scale. Well, this is we'll start this edge of scaling Ethereum, and we finally will see applications that were not possible because the scaling now make them possible with the security of Ethereum. So that's I think this is a really important moment for the space.
Thanks so much, guys, for sharing this. So, okay, let's switch back to a rational conversation and maybe a little bit more technical. But maybe we can start for the sake. We have more than 10,000 people, I believe, signed up, and hopefully, yeah, that's the info that we got from ETH Global friends, and hopefully a lot of them are newcomers, right? And we want to onboard as many newcomers as possible. So, for their sake and everyone's sake, maybe if you can just recap again, what is the importance of these layer 2 solutions and zkEVM itself? Just briefly in your own words, just for everyone, maybe it's always useful to recap.
Yeah, so I think for the almost since Ethereum launched, I've been talking about scaling as one of the most important problems for Ethereum to solve. And I think for me at the beginning, like for the first few years of Ethereum's growth, that was definitely pretty theoretical, right? Like we knew that Ethereum had to scale somehow to be able to serve, future millions of people user base. But like at the time, transactions were cheap for the users that Ethereum has. Ethereum worked fine. But then especially in the last few years and in like the last bull run, like it just became clear how expensive the Ethereum mainnet is, right? Like I remember visiting Argentina and just like seeing how everyone is using a Binance account, right? And like from their perspective, it makes perfect sense because Binance to Binance transfers don't have fees. But at the same time, I think as a crypto ecosystem, we do wants to ultimately move beyond the centralized approaches, and I'm sure even a lot of people in Binance feel that way as well, right? But making something that's decentralized and hard for and easy for and practical for people to use at the same time is just like so much harder than making something centralized and easy to use, right? And then last year we saw the FTX situation, and we just like keep seeing all of these incidents to just remind us, in a very real and practical way, why decentralized access to the chain being possible and being a reality is just so important. Because if you don't have that, then you have this kind of like decentralized on top of decentralized Frankenstein that seems to just like sometimes be even less secure than just doing the whole thing centralized top to bottom, right? And so I think scalability and decentralization at the same time is like this really hugely important thing. And like for the last couple of years, I think the Ethereum ecosystem has been focused on rollups as a primary strategy for scaling, basically just because Ethereum core developer time is limited. The Ethereum network's ability to handle complexity is limited. And so we didn't want to kind of give every responsibility to the layer one, and we wanted to leave open some room for independent innovation to happen. And so, we've recently had this layer 2 ecosystem start to emerge. And, I think these days the layer 2 ecosystem has existed for some time, right? But for me, like 2023 in particular is the year when I want to see the layer 2 ecosystem really mature. And for me, like the biggest part of maturity is like layer 2 is becoming actual layer 2s, right? In the sense of like, you don't just have like some, claim that like, we're going to have a proof system in the future. And like, actually we just have a multi-sig. Like, no, you have proofs, right? And, you have a system where your coins in the layer 2 are like actually protected by math instead of being, protected by some, group of like, 5 out of 9 people or whatever the number is, where if they wants to, go and grab up your $29 million and enjoy a retirement in some tropical beach country that's not Montenegro, then, you don't really have much defense against that. So it's, seeing, I think, Polygon make so much progress from just in terms of improving its security model over the last couple of years has been truly amazing. And that's something that I look forward to seeing the rest of the layer 2 ecosystem do as well, right? And I'm just like excited to see, scaling not just be this kind of theoretical thing, but actually be something that Ethereum already has solved in practice.
It's such a great recap. Thank you so much, Vitalik. Over to you, Jordi.
Well, it's the magic of engineering. Engineering's, we are not that theoretical. We are just taking the theory and just bringing to the solve real problems. And when I entered the space, it's just for me it was amazing. But because this you can do so many things, but actually when you want to do the things, you just start discovering the limitations of the space. So but I want to use this because I think it's amazing. So this is what I've been working on. Is okay, what we need to put this amazing technology in people's hands and extend that to that anybody in the world can use it. And well, you see, there are many things, but security, usability, but scaling was fundamental. If you can do just 30 transactions per second, this is not enough. It's not enough for the world, but it's not enough even for a relatively small community. So how do we have to do? And we have been thinking a lot about that. State channels, we think about the plasma. A lot of efforts happens. And when rollups, I remember this blog post from Vitalik, and some people just working on this idea happens. Okay, it's like we start seeing the light, and it's like, okay, this is it's a path there. Okay, splitting the data availability and the execution apart, and okay, it's a lot of path, but we just took this path. Ethereum Foundation, I think, is doing a great advance in the data availability and so on, and the ecosystem is also working a lot on these rollups and these layer 2s, and everything is looking that it's a long journey, but everything is looking that we in few years or even month we can have this technology available to the peoples, and that's. I think that's what's about.
Thank you so much, guys. This was really great. Maybe let's go just a little bit deeper, a little bit more technical. And as we see recently, there have been multiple projects that started working on zkEVM, and we at Polygon, and I'm sure Vitalik as well, we're very happy that that's the case. But that introduced the need for a little bit of clarity, ideally, what zkEVM is. Are there some different types of zkEVM? And Vitalik recently introduced and helped a lot on that front by publishing blog posts about 4 different types of zkEVMs. Basically, that way introducing at least some initial nomenclature for this great technology. And I wanted to ask you guys a little bit more about that. If you can chime in, both you, Vitalik and Jordi, first about Polygon zkEVM, where it is, which type of zkEVM it is, what it's going to be in the future, and maybe about the nomenclature itself. Vitalik, if you, now from this perspective, would you consider changing anything in the nomenclature, and just generally how you feel about the whole nomenclature? Basically, does it mean, for example, that the type 1 is by default the best solution, or it's not that black and white? Are there some just generally to chat about that a little bit in the context of Polygon zkEVM and in general about nomenclature of zkEVMs.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Jordi, answer the Polygon question first.
Yeah, I think that was this blog post about classifying. I think this clarify a lot of things, because at the moment there were a lot of different rollups doing different things, and the marketing people just putting things and bringing, and this clarify a lot, because at the end, from the technical perspective, is what it is, and the things. In the case of the Polygon, we define ourselves as a type 3. I think we fit very good in the type 3, and we are going in the direction to be a type 2. That's a little bit the path that we are. So the idea is to get closer and closer to Ethereum. We want to implement some precompiled smart contracts that are not ready yet, and there are some small details, this new type of transactions, and there are some small details that we want to get closer to that front. We are going in that direction, and I think this is a good equilibrium. The fact that, for example, in our system, the people don't have to reuse the tooling, so they don't have to use a different tooling, so they can reuse all the Ethereum tooling. So you just use Solidity, or you just use Remix, or you just use Hard Hat, and you just build and you just connect to Ethereum and you go there. This compatibility is really good for the end user. So I think this is a good compromise for having a lot of users using it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess from my perspective, like the way that I would summarize the type system in like one sentence is basically that the lower the number of the type is, the closer it is to basically being an exact copy of Ethereum zkEVM. And the higher the number of the type is, the further away from that it is. But the reason why you might want to do a higher type EVM is because either it's easier to develop, or because if you do some things that are a bit different from the EVM, then you can get some efficiency benefits that you can't do otherwise, right? So like the difference between type 1 and type 2, for example, is type 1 requires like perfect compatibility to the point where you can verify Ethereum's existing execution layer. And that involves some like fairly snark unfriendly things like potentially verifying a huge amount of Ketchak, right? And if you want, you could go and like replace Ketchak with some more stark friendly hash function, right? And that's something that's possible, but like is the correct thing to do for layer 2s today. And like 5 years from now, probably will be even the correct thing to do for the layer 1. But it does mean that today you're not going to be the same as layer 1 anymore, right? So I think like my view of what the ideal is I think the ideal for a zkEVM implementation is for it to be configurable and support all the types, right? Like I think an ideal zkEVM would have settings so that if you want, you can turn it on to run with a Ketchak Merkle Patricia tree, and that it can verify Ethereum blocks, or you can set it to run with some more zk optimized stuff, and it'll be more efficient for you. It'll have like might even have different precompiles, and depending on what you want, and you'd be able to kind of choose to what extent you want compatibility and to what extent you want efficiency, and like that could be that should be more of a project by project choice. And I think it should be possible to make zkEVM implementations that kind of like make it possible to hit all sides of that. And I feel like it probably shouldn't be too hard to do that if you're like starting from the higher types and moving toward the lower types, right? Because you had your previous code anyway, right? So you just kind of make it open either way.
Thanks a lot.
One of the things that I want to add here is I did myself the exercise to say, okay, you get all this technology because when you're doing this zkEVM, you learn a lot, and it's just a challenge every week. And it's like, okay, with this technology, if you want to do, okay, forget about being Ethereum compatible, and let's try to do an efficient rollup, and let's see how we would do it. The interesting thing is that I would not change many things. The way that we were able to optimize, there are things that probably, yes, I know there are things like memory alignment, and there are things that are a little bit tricky in Ethereum, and probably I would remove some of these pieces, but not that many. The way that we are computing, for example, arithmetics in different prime field, the way that we are computing Ketchaks, the way that we're computing hash functions, the way that we are working with the storage, the way that we are executing the programs. And it could be some differences, but it should not be. It's much less that you may think when you started. And that's because the rate of optimization that we get and being compatible. So for us, the requirement is, okay, we want to be Ethereum compatible. So that's the specification. So let's see what we can do on that. And we learn that much in this process so we come up to some really good tricks and really good algorithms that, okay, this is even better than if we were doing something different to that. So that's a little bit the conclusions that we're getting there. Of course, I mean, there are things, it's a spectrum of things, and we should go like piece by piece, but in many pieces you should not be very different.
Thanks a lot, guys. I would have so many questions in addition to this, but maybe let's just touch on one, and then we can slowly wrap it up because we have to adhere to the schedule, I guess. So we are very happy that we deliver this, right? And we have we believe we are generally mainnet ready, right? We have multiple external audits, multiple internal audits. We have testnet that has been running for months, and all of that. But still, it's very important to say that this is very complex technology. This is new technology that hasn't been delivered before, and it's important to be responsible, right? With that in mind, Vitalik published another blog post very recently where he speaks about proposed basically milestones for zkEVM rollups or rollups in general when it comes to introducing or slowly removing some sort of training wheels and security measures. So I know we have a basically security-focused panel in a while, but if you can just one sentence maybe share your thoughts also about maybe this Vitalik's proposed roadmap or model, and just anything in general about zkEVM when it comes to this responsible.
Sure. So I think like that blog or Magician's post was also motivated by just like seeing this kind of confusion and like, you know, definitely this kind of like weird marketing situation where there are, you know, a lot of different projects in this space that call themselves layer twos, and you know, they're like, people don't really understand like what actually makes a layer 2, what makes it not a layer 2, what makes a layer 2 decentralized, and like and all of these things, right? And the goal of the post was basically to kind of, you know, help people sort of like zero in on like the thing that matters, which is security, right? And the thing that matters in security, which is basically this kind of complicated trade-off of, you know, when do you put more trust in the people, and when do you put more trust in the code, right? And it's like a complicated trade-off to navigate, especially because we're dealing with this, you know, fairly young technology that inevitably has bugs and probably is going to continue to have bugs for some time. But basically, yeah, you know, the challenge is like, on the one hand, you know, we want to actually start moving away from, you know, just systems that claim to be layer 2s, but actually just like require completely trusting some small committee, right? Like we don't actually want a system where a 4 of 7 multisig can, you know, run off with $29 million and have a vacation in a tropical island country. But at the same time, like, you know, we want to try to do it responsibly. And if you kind of, you know, on day one, just to get ahead of everyone else, you know, push out a release and say, okay, guys, code is law. And then, you know, people throw in $29 billion and then it turns out that there's a bug, then like, that's pretty bad too, right? So I think that what I tried to do is kind of structure things and identify a couple of middle grounds, right? So the 3 stages that I identified are, well, I call them stage 0, stage 1, and stage 2. And stage 0 is basically like full trust the people, right? So basically something that has kind of like the scaffolding of a rollup, and you know, you can submit transactions, you have backup channels, you have all of these things. But at the same time, you know, there is some kind of override mechanism, and like ultimately the override mechanism can decide where the money goes with a 51% threshold, right? So it's like a full training wheels thing. Stage 2 basically says you're fully running on the code. Now, there is like kind of one nuance that I did kind of allow in the stage 2 definition, which is that what you can do is have a mechanism where if someone can prove that the code disagrees with itself, then you can flip an emergency switch and let you know, humans come in, right? But and like code disagreeing with itself could happen in 2 different ways, right? Like you could have 2 different zkEVMs, you could have one zkEVM, and the switch would be like if someone can successfully prove 2 different state roots for the same data. Like, you know, there's lots of different ways to do this. Or on the other side, if no one submits a valid thing for an entire week, right? That would also suggest that something is broken. But otherwise, like if the code is like, the idea would be that if the code is running correctly, the humans have no ability to override the code, right? And like that's a long-term goal, but that like requires being like pretty confident in the code and the code's ability to not have like certain kinds of really serious bugs. Stage 1 is this kind of middle ground, right? Where basically it's kind of like halfway in between, right? Where for stage 0, you need 51% of the humans to override and move money to wherever they want. For stage 2, you need 101% of the humans, right? 101% greater than 100%, so you can't do it. And then for stage 1, you need 75% of the humans. So the thing that I suggested was at least 6 of 8 where there's enough people in that multi-sig that are outside of the organization so that the organization by itself can't just go and move the funds wherever it wants to. And with this kind of threshold, like, you still have the ability to intervene if things really go wrong, right? And like I've been in multi-sigs a lot, right? And like if really serious stuff happens, then like generally you pretty quickly can get almost anyone, right? It's like almost everyone, especially if they're professionals. But at the same time, it's like getting to some it's much harder for 75% of people to collude and decide to go to a tropical island than it is for 50%, right? So it's this kind of middle. And my goal for 2023 has been that like I want the layer 2 ecosystem to basically move to at least the equivalent of stage 1. And I think it's okay to stay in stage 1 for a pretty long time, right? Because I think, we do want to be confident that the technology works before we put even more trust in it. But like, if you don't have, like if you're in stage 0, then you're basically not like really giving any decision-making power to the code at all, right? And like, it doesn't really matter if you're a ZK rollup or an optimistic rollup or what kind of rollup. Ultimately, you're just a multi-sig controlled by the Security Council. So in stage 1, you're basically saying, okay, well, we have an actual proof system and the proof system has actual power, but we don't necessarily quite give it all the power. And, if there is room for some Security Council, if there is like strong agreement inside it to override what the proof system says in case of a bug. So I think like stage 1 is this nice middle ground where, we're not just talking about these very centralized things that we've had so far. We're talking about like actual proof systems, whether they're optimistic or ZK, that have teeth and that actually have like a strong influence in what happens on chain. But at the same time, we leave some room for error and we don't kind of trust things fully. And like this is something that I think should be achievable for both at least many both zkEVM and optimistic EVM projects this year, right? Like I've also talked to a couple other ones, and like I know Arbitrum, for example, they want to like open up their proof system really soon, and I think they have some Security Council parameters that are like even more stringent than what the stage 1 requirements are. So I would love to see Polygon really join the stage 1 camp soon as well, and really kind of set the standard for like, hey, you have to have an actual proof system. The proof system has to actually run, and the proof system has to actually have some teeth. But like still in a way where we still have we're not kind of like turning the trust over from 0 to 100% from day 1, and we can be a bit careful and still kind of scoot for a couple of years while we make sure that everything really is completely safe, and then we keep going forward from there.
Just to mention here that in Polygon zkEVM is it's a stage 1. Actually, we changed the multi-sig this morning in 6 out of 8. It was 4 out of 7, and this morning we changed it to 6 out of 8 just to be on the stage. But we are the cool thing is that we are quite prepared, at least from the code perspective, to be a stage 2. Actually, we could be a stage 2 if you want. Of course, we don't want to be because until we feel safe. We want at least. But what are the pieces? The pieces that we are missing to be a stage 2 is, well, first of all, we need to enable the forced transactions. We will probably enable in a few weeks, because this is an important mechanism, and this is something that we disabled in the last minute for some issues, but we will enable in 2-3 weeks probably. The reason another thing is removing this kill switch. This is probably the hardest part, because we need to feel comfortable that the security is there. So this will probably stay. We are setting that we want to be running the the system at least 6 months without finding any critical issue at least. So that's we will take a little bit while on that. And the other is the time lock for the upgradability. Right now is 10 days, and we need to increase that to 30 days in order to be stage 2. But this is so. The plan is there, and it's more about getting comfortability of the code, and we will continue running, bug bounties and audits and probably some upgrades in there. So we'll stay here for a while.
Yeah. No, I mean, I definitely really appreciate the commitment to security, and I'm like, I'm so happy that we finally have a layer 2 with teeth are running on mainnet now. So big congratulations there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, both. Again, if I can just share my humble opinion, I totally agree. As we saw, like as Jordi said, Polygon zkEVM is formally, I guess, type 1. Stage 1 when it comes to these trading wheels. And I totally agree that this targeting basically stage 1 for 2023, as you said, Vitalik, is the wisest, the optimal and responsible approach, because we really want to transition to full safety gradually, right, and full permissionless solutions. Great. This has been a fantastic discussion. Thank you guys so much. And just if you have any closing messages or anything that you would like to share with the community, any sort of message or advice or anything, and then we can slowly wrap it up.
My site is just to give a try. I mean, just it's a network, a new network there. It's a zkEVM there. So if you are a developer, if you are a user, and just make a try and see how simple it is just to build on top of the Polygon zkEVM.
Yeah, I mean, I have tried like sending 2 transactions, and it's been pretty easy so far. So do recommend.
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot. Grace, please take it over.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. And it was an insightful chat. And after all, Mihailo, you did make a balance between the rational and the irrational there. So that was a good...
myself. It's important that I understand myself after the demo.
It came out absolutely perfectly balanced. And as far as Jordi, I know that we can check a fire chat with Vitalik out of your bucket list. That's definitely something that we can check it out.